In this healing, we're going to explore the feelings and experience of not enough time, of there never being enough time, of this sort of sense of urgency and fear and scattered mind that can create, the never ending list, the pressure that it feels like coming from outside of us, an external pressure, the inability to focus, maybe lacking sleep, worrying constantly, not being able to get anything done or achieve anything, kind of fumbling because of this sense of urgency, a sense or experience of sharpness, perhaps pain, and just the feeling of time running out. If you find yourself expressing out loud, there's never enough time, I don't have enough time, I haven't got time, then this healing is going to be just perfect for you. Hello, my name is Rebel Black, and I am a human agronomist and metaphysical muse gifted with the art of guiding people to experience their deepest desires, to move through their pain, and live as their most enlivened, energetic expression. In this session, I shall be guiding you through a protocol called forensic healing, with the pure intention for you to experience energetic alignment and healing as a result of this experience. Of course, healing can only occur when all parties involved in the healing space take full responsibility for their own well-being and when they also believe that healing can occur. I want you to know that I have full faith that whatever it is that you are listening to this to resolve, heal, or clear can be achieved, and whatever messages, memories, or insights you gain today, you are ready to receive, and it will be in your highest good to heal and activate. I want you to know that you are safe in this healing. So please make sure you are in a place where you feel safe. Forensic healing does not promote the functions of medical diagnosis or prescribed medication. So please consider what is explored in this session as general in nature and seek further medical support from a qualified physician should you feel the need to. I like to describe forensic healing as a tool that helps identify, make sense of, and get to the root cause of any patterns that have played a big role in our life but are now limiting us, and to heal that pattern once and for all. Most healing is symptom focused, but forensic healing gets to the truth and heals forward and backwards in our lineage, allowing us to be free and for us to experience life in new ways. It is particularly useful for healing the root cause of any symptoms you might be experiencing in your life, including in relationships, career, finances, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and in your life in general. As I work through this healing protocol, I shall be using a number of different scan lists to identify the key aspects of the case. You may hear me counting numbers, or there may be periods of silence. What I'm doing in those moments is using muscle testing to tune into the correct information on the scan list as it relates to your case in particular. The information I share as we move through the protocol may trigger particular memories for you. Trust that these memories are clues to the pattern and are often your first or one of your first experiences of the pattern in your life. And I want you to know that if something is triggered for you and you feel deeply or strongly as a result, you won't experience the feeling for long if you really allow yourself the time and space to feel the feelings that come up and continue to move through with the healing. This protocol works really effectively and quickly. And I want you to remember you can pause this recording at any time and take notes, express the emotion, move your body, but I do recommend that you listen to the whole session in one sitting. It is now time to set your intention for this healing. What is it that you are here to be guided on? Is there something that is causing you distress or discomfort that you want to explore or shift? Is there a bigger intention you are looking for, or are simply trusting you will be guided? Please note this down somewhere so you can refer to it at the end. Our relationship to our body is really important in healing, as it provides messages, and we use it as a way to identify whether our healing work is having an effect. So, for your reference, please note down the answers to the next few questions, as we will refer to them at the end of the healing. So, can I ask that you please now tune into your body and scan with your mind's eye to see if there are any areas of discomfort or disharmony. Identify where the sensation is and give the sensation a rating out of 10. 0 being barely noticeable and 10 being incredibly sensational. I'm now going to invite you to get to know this sensation a bit better. Please just trust that the first thing that comes to mind is the right thing, even if it seems odd. When you tune into the sensation, what shape is it? Does it have color? What color is it? Is it moving or static? And what feeling or emotion does it tell you it is? Now we are ready to heal. I've already opened the healing case, so we will move straight into the forensic healing protocols. So please make sure that you're comfortable, in a place you won't be disturbed, and perhaps you have some water and tissues nearby. Enjoy. So the first thing that scans up in the forensic healing protocol is the archetype of the trickster. And the trickster is the deceiver, the liar, the troublemaker, and the manipulator. So this is the energy that is sitting around the experience of not enough time. It's a trickster energy. It's an attempt at manipulation. The next thing that tests up through in the two negative life patterns are around power and sacrifice. And those two things, it really feels like the trickster energy is a power play often. And the power dynamic experience says that we're affected by other people's negative beliefs and behaviors and situations. And we often blame ourselves for how other people feel or react. We allow others to dictate how we should be and what we should do. It leads to low self-esteem and feelings of inadequacy and discomfort about ourselves. We experience people in situations that disempower us, and you reach a point where you say enough is enough, otherwise the situations will crush you. Realize that you have all the power within you for everything that you need. You are valued and of divine worth. You are equal to everyone and everyone is equal to you. You need to let go the doubts about yourself and your abilities. You are perfect just the way you are. And that goes to say with time, that time is from within you. You are where time comes from, and therefore you have the capacity to take your power back when it comes to time. The statements are, I choose to feel empowered. Thank you for reminding me to empower myself. So whenever you feel pressed for time or you feel those old thoughts or feelings coming up around not having enough time, you can remind yourself, I choose to feel empowered. Thank you for reminding me to empower myself. And the other negative pattern was around sacrifice, which is when you give so much to others and you feel like you haven't received equal effort in return. Now, that doesn't necessarily need to be direct, but in a broader sense, your energy feels depleted as you always place yourself last. And you think that you're here to serve and sacrifice yourself, as that's what you learned from your childhood, most likely, your parents or the environment that you're in. You believe that your self-worth is dependent on how much you give and how much you sacrifice yourself. And then that would become time, then becomes one of the weapons of choice of the sacrifice, where you're giving all of your time for other people or other things. When you feel challenged, when you feel pressed for time, worried about this sense of not enough time, remind yourself, I choose to nurture myself. Thank you for reminding me to nurture myself. Realize that you need to place yourself first. You need to nurture yourself before you can give to others. So break the cycle of struggle, recognize the patterns you are creating, and stop giving so selflessly that it depletes your energy and you feel used and resentful. Recognize that you are choosing these patterns and you need to acknowledge your own feelings and needs. So the next thing that comes through is the negative emotion, and what came through was grief, that this feeling of grief. And I would imagine that if we have this sense of never having enough time, that we're constantly grieving what isn't getting done or what we're not achieving, or, constantly focusing and then on the loss. And so then we're in this state of grief, whether we're conscious of that or not. The positive emotion that we're instead wanting to call in this healing is healed. Is that we are healed. And that is I guess that's our big intent for today, is that we are healed from this belief that we haven't got enough time. The negative belief system that came through was power, unsurprisingly. And so at the moment, there's this power play. And so it's like this war going on within inside of you around your use of time and the judgment that comes with the way that you're currently using your time, or that time is using you. Perhaps it's this power struggle, power dynamic. Um, when I tested up the ages, it came through very strongly with lots in the teenage years: 18, 16, 14, 13, and 12, and then 10, 7, 3, and age 1. So one of those ages might resonate for you, or there may be a number of different memories or scenarios where you are feeling this same sense of time pressure, of not going to be achieving enough, of letting people down because you were wasting time, for example, not allowed to be bored, or where you were being frivolous with time, where you had to fill every spare second to, suck the marrow out of life. So 18, 16, 14, 13, 12, 10, 7, 3, and age 1. Whatever memories come through, if there's a story that you see or a certain person that comes to mind, please trust that, because that these experiences to be remembered are here to be healed. So in terms of more information that came through, it also came through with a soul contract and what is called planetary logos disconnection, which is really a corruption in the matrix at some point. And the way that I interpret that in the context of this not enough time is that at some point in history, we shifted from this understanding of a divine time or a non-linear time where there is no beginning and end. And then we shifted, so through the corrupted matrix, or this corruption that happened in our belief systems or in our understanding as humans, we moved to this linear time, as in there's a beginning and an end. And my experience with working a lot with Indigenous people over the years is that their belief systems were very much around endless time, circular time almost. So it's circular and it never ends. Whereas our modern society is very much in a linear scale, and I think that's definitely what it refers to. Because if you have a belief, and a deep belief in circular time, that there is no end, you don't experience time in the same way as someone who believes there's a beginning and an end of time. And so there's much less pressure. There's a sense of ease. There's this sort of understanding of divine time, or kairos time, as the Greeks described it. Things happening in perfect order and perfect time and place. And that there's this sense of generational time as well. And so you don't feel quite the same pressure that we do, where we think, like, oh, I've got a limited number of hours and years and days in my life. And so I've got this pressure that sits outside of me that then is compounded by the tools of this modern era, including clocks and calendars and the seasons, I guess, to some degree, although they really don't change considerably. So that was interesting to come through. It also comes through with letting go, and also this sense of that we need to let go of time. I have a very strong visual of being quite cross with my husband at some point in our early years of being together, that he'd come home late again from being out with his mates and, drinking at the pub. And, I'm wagging my finger at him saying, but look at the time. And it was whatever time it was, I don't recall. And he just literally grabbed the clock and threw it out the door, and it smashed into a million pieces. And he was like, that's what I think of your time, and it was pretty distressing at the time. But upon reflection, and now coming to know him and knowing other ways of being in relationship to time, I realized what he was saying was that it's being present with the moment is what matters most, and that the clock on the wall is a construct of a modern era. that we can choose to accept and believe in or not. And I'm also reminded of my friends that when they moved from Queensland to New South Wales, refused to change their clocks on daylight savings. And so I've always got to remember when I go to their place for a visit that they're operating on Queensland time. And so, yeah, but they just refuse. So again, because it's a construct. So being able to let go of our the narratives that we hold about time is really important, but is also something that we've been challenged by because of whatever experiences we've had in those teenage years, in those most formative years, and even as early as one. So the aura that came through was the astral field and was around gut feeling. And so this is where, again, time gets in the way very often of our deep intuition and our deep knowing. Our intuition might say, go do this thing. And our our lineal time construct will say, but you haven't got time, you've got to do this other thing. Or that doesn't fit in the calendar, or whatever it might be. The logical, time limited, linear gets in the way of the intuition, of the gut feeling. And again, that's come because of some impact in those formative years. The chakra that came through was around the central chakra and was around creativity. And I get this sense that our linear time and this, power struggle we have with time and the trickster energy, the manipulator, is really holding us away from being truly creative and expressive in the fullest potential that we have. And so, it's often the creative things that get put to the side in our time limited perspective. And so, what we're calling in through this healing, through this reading first, and then the healings that we'll do in a minute, is to clear whatever energetic patterns, imprints, or damage was done in those early years so that we can move freely into other ways of being where creativity can perhaps feature more highly in a circular time experience. Uh, this the next pieces of information that came through maybe give more detail if you don't yet have a story or a particular incident or memory coming to mind. And it was in relation to this. So there was a particular impact in youth. There was a female involved in a work context, emotional abuse. It happened because of karma, and the way that I experience or describe karma is this pattern repetition through time and space. So it's not necessarily that you did something wrong, but that there is this continual repetitive pattern, and that there was a physical impact that occurred that sort of embedded this pattern. And I think if I reflect on this in my own context, work for me, there's a very blurry line between work and play for a lot of us. And so this, how we're spending our time, and in inverted commas, spending, is often, we think we have to choose between work and creativity. And there's this power dynamic also of what I've given up in order to work, trade my time for money. Um, and it feels like this sort of youthful experience of work. Maybe it's the first workplace, or maybe it's when you come into awareness of your parents being in a work environment and the sacrifice that comes from that, and the loss and the grief that comes from that as well. Parents who didn't get to spend that much time with their children, or who didn't come on holidays, or were working all the time, and so were perhaps grumpy and weren't their most pleasant selves. There's a lot of sacrifice and power and manipulation that goes on in that context of work as a thief of time. And I imagine in our youth, that's when we're first experiencing this. It was interesting that it came up with a physical impact, though. I'm curious to see what comes through there for the healing. But perhaps you've got a clearer picture of an experience of this pattern in its first expression. So now we move to the healing aspect. Now that we've got all of the information that we can in this context for the reading, and now we're going to move to the healing. So just invite you. I'll ask you the question: are you ready and willing to heal this? To heal this pattern, to enter into and invite a new relationship to time and to power within your life. And if you are, please state yes so that we can move forward with confidence into this healing phase. Great. So what comes through in terms of a parasitic entity that's there is this idea of fostering and creating negative emotions. The voices aim to create a prolonged negative emotional state of anger, anxiety, paranoia, guilt, or shame. It's achieved by inserting negative thoughts or telling the victim to do things that causes conflict with others and or conflict within the self. So it's this negative emotions, which we saw earlier, there was emotional abuse that came through. So some sort of, manipulation or emotional tactic that's been deployed. The words that the parasitic entity voices use were you don't trust yourself or others. And I have nothing to inspire me. Sorry, I can't read my handwriting. I have nothing to inspire me. So those are the two things, and that would stand very much true around, having to do everything yourself, sacrificing yourself. Very much aligns with don't trust yourself or others. And I have nothing to inspire me very much aligns with the creativity, and maybe as an excuse for why you're not doing the creativity and the creative things, and therefore working more perhaps, or sacrificing yourself. And then grieving the loss of this either lack of inspiration or that as an excuse to avoid really getting into the creativity. So we're going to heal those things together. We're going to make I'm going to say some statements. You're going to repeat those after me with gusto and enthusiasm and commitment. Where I say my name, you're going to say yours. So we will begin. I rebel, cancel, void, and reject the parasitic demonic entity causing the effect of fostering and creating prolonged negative emotion. I rebel, reject, and refuse the lies the parasitic entity voices tell me that I can't trust myself or others, and I have nothing to inspire me. I acknowledge the lies and deception of this parasitic entity and reclaim control over my mind, thoughts, sovereignty, birthright, and divinity. I reclaim the truth that I am trustworthy, that I can be trusted, and that I can trust others. I reclaim the truth that I have plenty to inspire me, and that I am a creative being. I close all harmful portholes, gateways, grid systems, stargates, and access routes to my energy field, and refuse any demonic or parasitic entity access to my mind, body, and soul. I choose to live as a sovereign, powerful, divine being, and only accept information and connection from a pure, organic source energy. I choose to live in oneness with humanity from this point forward. I am blessed and I am free. Take a nice big deep breath in. And we're going to shake our bodies, really paying attention to the part of yourself where there was sensation earlier in the protocol, and anywhere else you're feeling everything that we've just learned. We're going to keep shaking till we get some good energy shifts. Rub your body if you need to. Sometimes that helps to remove it from under the skin if it's sitting superficially. And also help move some of those muscles. Our bodies hold our emotions. And sacrificing and power sits usually in that sort of gut space, solar plexus, sacral chakra, base chakra, and sometimes even in the heart chakra. So even if you give your front body a really good rub, letting the muscles know it's time to let go, safe to let go, safe to release, safe to be empowered, safe to reactivate our creativity, safe to reactivate our gut feeling and reconnect to this understanding of circular time. We can come to stillness. Well done. Never underestimate the power of a good shake and jump around. It's how animals release their tension and their energy after some sort of a trauma. So we're going to do a physical healing, and what's come through is a structural impact. So this may be at age 1, 3, 7, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, or 18. I'm just going to test for the scan list. And it's come through as the spinal nerve. Now, that could be damaged just from falling over, having a fall of some kind, being dropped. I heard as I tested that up, you've got a lot of nerve. And so even a physical impact around maybe you were sort of shaken or pushed even, maybe not even with malicious intent, but some sort of impact that's shaken you, that's impacted that spinal nerve. And where the words have also been spoken, you've got a lot of nerve. You've got a lot of nerve, which usually implies like, who do you think you are? And which is very much that power, sort of power dynamic, and then sacrificing ourselves if we then believed, then I'm nobody, so what, I shouldn't pursue that thing. Who do you think you are to be so magnificent, great, creative, powerful, inspiring, etc.? And that's what we're really wanting to heal today. So I'm going to say some statements again, and you're going to repeat after me with enthusiasm and commitment. And I am going to, when I say my name, you're going to use your name, of course. And we will begin. I, Rebel, choose to align my physical structure relating to the spinal nerve. I choose to have my body physically aligned and release the related cause. I'm going to say all of the ages. You just choose the one that relates to you. I'm going to release the related cause at age 1, 3, 7, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, and 18. I now choose to realign, reconnect, and rebalance the DNA in my body so I am free and fully connected to my source energy. Great, well done. We are going to do a contract release as well. It is an oath for submission, which keeps you from being in your power. I would say this goes both ways. So submission sometimes can actually be a really powerful act, particularly when it comes to letting go, which we know there's been an impact in this energetic field around even being able to let go. So I would say that there's both potentially an oath to be submissive, which is the giving away of power, and to not submit, which is also a power struggle. And so we'll heal both of those. Both may be true for you in different contexts, or there may be one that feels more true for you. But either way, we'll heal both of them. So I request divine permission and divine protection to commence the karmic contracts release. I now request the powers of divine light, divine blessings, and divine source to safely release, dissolve, remove, and cancel all karmic oaths between us and other people, if we know who they are, around submission, which keeps us from being in our power. Whether it is not being able to submit when that is appropriate, or always submitting even when it's not appropriate. Repeat after me and say your name where I say mine. I, Rebel, choose to release all past life or karmic oaths regarding submission and my relationship to power. I note these are now void and cancelled. I choose to be released and free forever from this point forward. Take a nice big deep breath and do some shaking if it feels good. So we're going to do a DNA healing and close the case. That's good energy shifting. Thank you. I request healing sound frequencies to reconnect and realign your DNA, RNA, chromosomes, wormholes, nucleotides, and hypercommunication. I request the purification and cleansing process of white and gold pure organic light dissolve all negative energies and attachments from you, from myself, from the rooms we're occupying, from the buildings we're in, from our surrounding areas, anything or anyone affected by this healing. I request closure and disabling of harmful portals, gateways, channels, stargates, NAA firewalls, and access routes to other dimensions and realities, controlling, interfering, or siphoning your soul and energy life force. I confirm the etheric, astral, mental, and causal light bodies are cleansed and strengthened, and that all Sephirotic healing forces are activated and connected to the organic, pure, white light source for the opening of the crystal rose heart and activation of your diamond sun body. I confirm and invoke the Christ consciousness light and request the guardians and angels to pour blessings upon you for all the things you require to obtain soul freedom and sovereignty. I ask that healing may continue throughout this time and that you may always know that you are of divine, infinite worth and you hold the power and the choice for your transformation. I confirm these requests have taken place and this healing is complete. As you re-enter the full experience of your body and surroundings, please just tune back into your body and particularly into the sensation you identified at the beginning of the healing. What's the rating now? Has it shifted? What is the shape and color? And what feeling is attributed now? If you think about the issue that you came in to heal, what's your experience of it? Whatever it is, that is perfect. It may be similar or the same or completely different. Perhaps the sensation is gone altogether. Just know that the healing is complete. Sometimes it takes a little while for our person to catch up with the healing that's already been done. So please be kind to yourself always, but particularly so over the next 48 hours or so. Drink plenty of water, ground yourself by eating nourishing foods, whole grains and vegetables, and move your body to support any further shifting that wants to be had. Our energetics can shift quickly, but sometimes our body and our behavior takes a bit to catch up. So please just pay attention to that and reach out into the Wild Women group if you require any support to enhance your integration. Remember, you are love and you are a powerful co-creator in your life, and you are here to be enlivened and to have fun. May you bloom where you are. May your bower be blessed. And may you always know your wild worth.